what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome back to our Wednesday night live stream, the Hump Day edition. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by fellow lifetime Longhorn young prodigy, CJ Vogel. He's right there. Also, my man, Jeff Howe, my esteemed colleague and really good friend. Appreciate him joining us as well for this Wednesday live stream. We'll get into 38 days. Let me throw it out there before we kick off against Ohio State. We'll get to a few topics on the show, but this show belongs to you guys. So you guys drive it any direction you want to. Questions, comments, throw them out there. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line, and you can interrupt the show at any time. So we appreciate you guys joining us no matter where you're joining us from. 38 days, Jeff. You got a favorite or the best 38 that you can think of? Number 38, top of your head?
He's on my list for one of the most underrated Longhorns in the Mac Brown era, and that's Roderick McElroy.
Another great Roderick. Yes, the one Roderick we actually call Roderick. All right. By the way, I never shortened my name. Okay, I never said I became Rod when I came here. Before I got to Texas, I was Kool-Aid or Roderick by most people, and then when I got to Texas, I don't know what happened, guys. I never introduced myself as Rod. Mac Brown, in his brilliant marketing mind, somewhere said, this guy's going to get drafted higher if he's a Rod over being a Roderick. And I don't know, who knows if he was right. I mean, but I got to tell you, I don't know. But I respect the Rodericks. Roderick Wright, Roderick Muff. They kept the Roderick. And I always wonder if I kept the Roderick instead of just shortening it to Rod, which I did not do. My mama thought I did. I was like, Mom, I didn't do that. Mac did that. Mac started calling me Rod. And I was like, where the hell did that come from? Mac, that was a Mac Brown invention. I got to ask Mac where he came from. Because I never did that, guys. I never shortened Roderick to Rod. Mama thought I did it. It never happened. CJ, who's shortened your Christian name? Have you always been a CJ?
I've always been a CJ. My dad was calling me CJ before I was even born, so I didn't have a chance.
But I'll say this, Rod. Roderick Babers was not an All-American, and Rod Babers was, though.
You probably knock off about 2/10 with Rod.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Would Roderick have been more successful than Rod? Like, these are the things you think about when you're 45 years old. You're like, man, if I'd been, because I've been Rod now long without I was Roderick. Think about that. Like, but y'all, I'm Rod sounds like a guy who drives a bus. Exactly. Like, I never did that. I'm from H-Town. Like, so Roderick, people called me Kool-Aid back in the day. It was kind of a nickname, but the Roderick thing, you know what I mean? Yeah, Christ Jesus. No, but it's like, I don't know. Well, who knows where I would have been? Who knows that guy would have got drafted higher? But either way, I appreciate the love. All right, and you're right. I think Roderick McElroy is he's probably the greatest number 38, right? I think so. So we can throw that out there.
To me, he is. Like I said, just he didn't have like the sack numbers or anything, but talk about a guy that on those two Will Muschamp defenses was kind of the centerpiece of it there. Yeah, Sergio Kendall and Earl Thomas and other guys got the love, but Roderick McElroy was a huge piece of those defenses.
Yeah, doesn't feel right calling you Roderick, right? Yeah, I know. See, Ed said he's from H-Town, and he called me Rod. I know nobody in Houston ever called me Rod. Like, I was at Houston, I was never Rod. I didn't get Rod till I got to Texas, and I don't know who the hell did it. I don't know if it was John Bianco, I don't know if it was Mac, but it stuck. It stuck.
Can I give you a quick theory, Rod, off the top of my head?
Stuck.
Going into your senior year, Roderick Wright, who actually was mentioned for induction in the Longhorn Hall of Honor today, Rod Wright got the campus going into your senior year, so I wonder if Mac's like, I can't have two Rodericks. I guess somebody's got to shorten their name.
That could be.
Roderick on this roster.
Roderick, I would say, but some people say Rod Wright too. Yeah, throw it out there. But anyway, I'll ask Mac about it next time I talk to him. It says, Rod, Mac convinced you your name was Rod. He said, can't win a championship without you, Rod. And that's when I started. You know what? I ain't gonna say he was calling me Rod in recruiting. I think you're right.
That could have been it.
Right about that, Joseph. I want to say, man, with all this, it's foggy, but I swear you might be right about that. And maybe that's just how I remember, but I think he was calling me Rod in recruiting. Now that you bring it up, Joseph, I think you're right. Yep. I think you're right.
He wanted to make it. He just Mac had to wait till the time was right. He needed I think Roderick Wright coming to the program gave him a valid excuse. Like, he wanted to do it, didn't have a reason to, and finally pulled the trigger.
Okay. I know where I can find proof, guys. You know what I have back here? I got some football media guides back when I used to print them out. Old school, baby. And I got a 99 right there. So we will go check the media guide and find out if I'm Rod and the 99 media guy. That means Mac Brown and John Bianca were in on it together. All right, they were like, nah, that guy's a scrub, but Rod, just right. All right, let's get to some stories here. Quit talking nonsense. This is a big story, guys, and it's rather, to me, it's a little sad. I can't, because I'm an animal guy, but for the Aggies out there, I know a lot of Aggies probably in the chat watching too. Hearts go out to you because Reveille had to have surgery, guys, to have an eye removed.
Ooh.
Yeah, Brian Davis says, he says stunning news. I believe he's joking there. But he said the school's mascot Reveille was diagnosed with glaucoma in her right eye. Surgeons removed the eye, and she is now resting comfortably per officials. Expect to be back this fall. So this Reveille will be back, but I will say, Reveille, they're gonna put an eye patch on this dog. Like, what's gonna happen? It's gonna be a one-eyed Reveille, which might be kind of gangster. I ain't gonna lie. Maybe that's what gets the Aggies over the hump, a one-eyed Reveille. But now they get their swag back. I don't know.
Well, eye patch on Reveille, I'd like it, man. But no, I hope Reveille's all right. Look, this kind of hits close to home to me. I've had 4 Shelties growing up, so that's all we've ever had in our household. And those are fun dogs. Don't get me wrong. So look, I know that they might get some arthritis, they might get a little hippy hoppy, as they get older. But glaucoma, losing an eye, that's not easy. So I'm thinking of Reveille here.
Yeah, see, we're not animals. A lot of Longhorn fans are wishing them well. That's why I know but Longhorn fans, we're softies. Most Longhorn fans are big animal people. So you see Robert Barris there says, yes, he says, firstly, awful that this happened to Reveille and glad she is okay. But secondly, eye patch Rev goes incredibly hard. Yeah, see, I think they're psyched about this eye patch situation, or at least a one-eyed Reveille. All right, so there you go.
Can I plead ignorance real quick and ask a dumb question for you guys and for everybody watching?
Only if you want a dumb answer.
Well, this might necessitate one. CJ it might get one. Do mascots can a mascot retire?
Oh yeah.
Is it like a Supreme Court justice where the mascot goes until you don't want to go anymore? Is death the only way you leave?
No, I beat Bevo before. I got to check with my man Ricky. Because my man Ricky Brennis, he works really close with Bevo. You know Ricky really well too, Jeff. And he could tell. I believe they retired. They retired a Bevo before they died.
I think so. Yeah, but the last few mascots, obviously when you went from Bevo 14 to 15, there was an UGA, there was a Tusk at Arkansas. I think a lot of the recent mascots, it's been the previous one died and then you got a new one. There was no mascot retirement. So I'm sure it happens. I haven't heard about it recently. So
it probably depends on what kind of animal it is. Can you retire it to a farm or not? Right? I don't think you can let Mike the Tiger just go roaming through Baton Rouge, right?
Probably not.
Ralphie is probably confined to wherever his little cage is up in Boulder, in Colorado as well. So that's a good question. I don't have an answer for you, Jeff.
Okay, I'm sending the text right now so we can find out about it. But have you seen Tiger King, CJ?
Oh yeah.
You can just say there's lots of those random trashy places like that around this great country of ours that they're way more. We found that out. It's one of the things we found out during COVID that I don't know, it's a useless fact. There are way more big cats in this country than we realize.
I tell you what though, the live mascots I've been around, Reveille, obviously Bevo, UGA, of all the live mascots I've been around, man, Mike the Tiger was the one that had me mesmerized. Man, this is a real live tiger that just hangs out by the stadium. This is the coolest freaking thing ever.
It's such a Louisiana thing too. That makes perfect sense.
I know, right?
Live tiger just kicking it right there. All right, so thank you, Sean.
And naming it Mike.
University of Massachusetts to retire. Yeah, there you go.
It runs too fast.
Well, I think they can they can't control her once she gets to a certain speed with that kind of weight, right? It's you get an animal with that kind of weight moving at a certain speed.
Has Ralphie always been a female? Man, we're going down the mascot rabbit hole here.
I'll say what about the mascots, the ones that dress up? A lot of them, more than are female.
Oh yeah,
that's what you don't realize. I found that out too. You know what I mean? The more, I ain't gonna tell you how I found that out, but I found out that a lot of more than half of the mascots that are dressed up, those or a female.
I will agree with the chat though, and I'm not just saying this because we all love Texas, but man, Bevo is the best live mascot.
Oh, I got your text. It's confirmation from Ricky. Bevos, they do retire before they die.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
There you go. From the man himself.
Because 14 didn't get to, he got cancer and got sick. Yeah.
He got canceled? What did he say?
Cancer.
He got cancer. I'm going to say, did he say something racist? What did he do?
We had cancer. Look, Rod, if we're canceling Bevo, that might be time to tender my resignation in this industry.
We were doing some ridiculous stuff a few years ago, so we would have canceled Bevo. But hey, they tried to cancel Bevo for the Eyes of Texas, but they couldn't.
Nah. Well, Bevo, there's that when you walk, and I'm fortunate to have done it a lot of people don't get to. Like when you do go on the field for a game and you walk by that pin and you just get the idea, like, man, if Bevo wanted to, he could just own this whole thing and just run roughshod, but he's not. He's cool. He's relaxed. It's very, it's very gangster how Bevo hangs out on the field. So he must be respected at all times.
It's very Texan. It's so Texan the way Bevo, just his demeanor and the way he handles himself. And by the way, Bevo I've been told Bevo is not drugged.
Right.
That particular Bevo, Texas's Bevo, is from a particular line of Bevos that are just well adapted to humans, and they have a very just kind of cool disposition. They're just kind of calm and cool, and that's why. I didn't even get my man Matthew behind the scene. There you go. That's why it's Matthew's way of calling BS on that statement. But I have been told that Bevo is not drugged. There's no PEDs or performance enhancers. Nope. That is just, it's like some breed of dogs, right? Some breed of dogs are very aggressive. Some breed of dogs are really calm and cool and really fun. And he's just a really particular breed. And that's why they have to have that breed. They have that breed to be like that line. That I don't even know how they protect the genetics. I'm sure they have a way of doing it, but that's why it's so precious to them. And apparently it goes way, way back in the family and everything. And I'm not going to put them on blast.
Do you know Bevo's birth certificate name? There's a little fun fact for you.
Give it to him.
It's Sunrise.
That's right. Those have these cool names.
Yes. Sunrise Spur. You were close.
There you go.
Is that the latest one? That's his name? Or
that's the current one, yeah.
Because wasn't 14 Sunrise Studley?
Sunrise.
Like that. Yeah.
So is it all sunrises?
I think so. At least this line, right? Like
this line, Good point.
It's from the ranch that they come from too.
Yeah.
All right.
Fun fact, a little mascot talk.
I'm glad we can drop some Bevo knowledge on the show tonight.
It's like Craig Way was on this show tonight, just like dropping random factoids for the people. Rogue Shop got a random shout out. We are off the rails already. All right, let's get back on the rails. Let's thank our friends over at Von Lane, and then we'll get back on the rails. Hit your super chats. Thank you guys for the super chats. We'll get those. But first, let's thank our friends at Von Lane. Folks, trust me, I have taken the Von Lane to DFW. I've taken it to Houston several times. I've taken it for business. I've taken it to visit family. I love it. My wife is a big fan of the Von Lane as well, and you will be too. Trust me, folks, it's great. Now, you've got to get from one city to another, to Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and like always, it's a toss-up. Do you deal with the airport chaos and hope your flight isn't delayed, or do you brace yourself for hours behind the wheel, battling traffic and burning an entire day of productivity? Well, the third option is the best option. It's Von Lane. You arrive at a luxury hotel terminal, no TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience that takes minutes, not hours. You settle into one of just 22 oversized first-class seats with 140-degree recline leg rest and a cabin attendant serving complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, a full meal if you'd like. And if you need to relax, you can simply lean back and enjoy the ride. But if you want to stay productive, that's easy too. You got high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. Fall travel is booking fast, so reserve your spot now for October trips to Texas versus OU in Dallas, F1, and ACL in Austin, or college football weekends in Nashville, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. Von Lane connects Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Nashville, Atlanta, Memphis, and now Knoxville, Tennessee. The Woodlands, Texas, and Plano, Texas. They're everywhere, folks. Visit vonlane.com. That's VONLANE.com. Use the code OTF25. You'll get $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. Vaughn Lane Elevated Regional Bus Transportation. Thank you very much to Vaughn Lane for sponsoring our Wednesday night live stream. All right, we got lots of super chats, so let's hit them up. First is Vicente Valero. Thank you very much for the super chat. I see the question. It says, how do y'all think Schloss NIL compares to the rest of the SEC big boys? Does it need to increase, or is it on par with the rest of the league? All right, gentlemen.
I don't think, as far as I know, it's gotten much better since Jim Schlossnagle was hired for baseball. There are some schools like, hey, LSU is probably going to lead the conference in NIL. That's just how they roll. I think it's on par with the league by and large. So.
I would say the same. And look, Texas, I know that the draft kind of hit them pretty tough after, some of these contracts were extended and signed after the MLB draft. But look, they went really hard in the portal, and they put together some really talented lineup combinations based off of the additions to this roster. So look, they've been aggressive. I think, again, when you kind of look at not just the retention rate, and Texas obviously pretty young this past year, but their NIL accumulation with this roster, I would say, is pretty comparable to some of the top teams in the conference. To your point, Jeff, LSU. I mean, you can tell where their NIL funds go. It goes to football, it goes to baseball, a little bit goes to that eventual buyout of Brian Kelly, and about none of it goes to basketball. That's how they divvy up their NIL pot.
Yeah, if your NIL wasn't up to snuff, Carson Tenney's not playing for Texas in 2026.
Good point.
All right, good stuff, guys. Appreciate that. How about this next one from Justin? Thank you, Justin, for the super chat. It says, can y'all go over the collective deal that came up yesterday and explain it like I'm 10? Forgive me, I graduated from Texas City. No.
Justin, come on, don't do Texas City like that.
Don't Texas City like that. And trust me, it's convoluted, and I think it's done intentionally. It's like tax codes. They want to make it all convoluted. And it's about, to me, it comes down to like legal language, right? So basically, I remember coming on this platform and saying this. You guys probably remember I was saying they're going to get in so much trouble after the House settlement because of there was two terms. One of them, and this is the one they just addressed yesterday, valid business purpose. All right? Valid, basically this college sports commission, whatever. They were declining NIL deals. Let's clear out declining NIL deals based on them determining that it didn't fit the definition of their valid business purpose. Meaning, you signed a young man to an NIL deal, but they looked at that deal and went, "Well, this is just a deal to compensate an athlete. This deal that doesn't serve. It's not a valid business purpose." And so, essentially, it turned collectives, right, which is just a group of people with money. All right, turn collective, and then there's collectives, and then there's like you can have just a sugar daddy, like one booster doing it on their own. But most of the time it's a collective. It's like a group, right? Formed, and Texas has plenty of those as well. They were going to be relegated to being third party, almost middlemen, marketing firms to be able to negotiate these deals, set up these deals. But they weren't necessarily going to be part of the deal, which is crazy because they weren't serving a valid business purpose. They can hook them up with a business. They can find a business and an athlete and say, "Hey, you guys would work well together," and be a middleman and maybe take a fee. But they wouldn't be able to actually sign the athlete themselves to a deal, right? Because they didn't serve a valid business purpose. Ridiculous. Like that's. Talk about being un-American. Like it ain't your damn business to determine what's valid business or not. All right. I want to spend my money the way I want to spend it. Done. If it doesn't violate some type of tax code, then I don't know how you're going to determine what's valid and what's not. That's why there actually a bunch of lawyers came to them and said, "We're gonna sue the hell out of y'all, and y'all gonna lose in court, just like the NCAA been losing, because this is unconstitutional what y'all trying to do. Y'all trying to limit the amount of money these young people can make. Because y'all determined it ain't a valid business purpose. That's a clown act." And basically, they decided now they're going to be very flexible instead of declining all of these NIL deals because they don't fit the valid business purpose. They are going to now be flexible in that definition. So essentially, the lawyers won because lawyers were like, we're gonna sue the hell out of y'all, and essentially we're gonna be back in court. Y'all gonna lose again, and then there will be more antitrust lawsuits. And the NCAA does not want to be in court because the courts hate the NCAA because they're a borderline criminal syndicate, and they have been for years. and they've been exposed now. And the courts have told you, if you bring us a case, you're going to lose because you have no bounds to limit these people's ability to make money off of their name, image, and likeness and profitability. You're basically trying to limit the free market. What the hell's wrong with you? This is America. That's my definition of it. Y'all got it.
I think they will. The bottom line for me is, no matter what happens, they will keep kicking the can down the road. They being the lawyers and the NCAA, the can it'll continue to be kicked down the road until at some point there's a separation with power conference football. It will be its own. It will be its own entity. It'll have its own governing body. And I think you will probably get to the point eventually where college athletics, there's a collective bargaining agreement of some point, but the can will keep getting kicked down the road. That's still, I think, a long ways away, but that's at some point, that's where we're headed.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't have much more than what you just said, Rob, because look, it's going to be tomorrow's issue. It always will be. And that's how it's been for the last 10 years. And I know that the NIL adoption obviously changed a lot, but in the sense of laying out ground rules for everybody to play by, you didn't really get that. You kind of just got, go play in the park and you build your own sandcastles, and if someone came over and knocked it over, well, that sucks for you. But it didn't make a whole lot of sense at the time, and it's just been an ever-changing, evolving world of mayhem, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yep, mayhem and litigation. The lawyers love it, by the way. Lawyers are like, yes, this is amazing. Yeah, keep coming out with these very vague statements that don't make any sense, and then we can just settle it in court. And these big-time major college football programs and these major college football conferences in this billion-dollar sports industrial complex will be bleeding money to all the lawyers on retainer to figure it out. Ain't America grand? Yes.
Billable hours.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, we're going back to court. And the next thing they're going to be talking about, and I brought this up too when I read the House settlement, these people are trying to determine what is a appropriate range, quote, range of compensation.
Yeah, that's
not you can pay too much money. Whoa, that's not an appropriate range of compensation. Like what? The market determines, the free market determines what the range of compensation is. If somebody's willing to pay me this, that's what I'm worth. You don't get to determine what I'm worth in the free market. And by the way, they will end up in court. That will be the next one. I'm telling you. That's the other one. I remember the valid business purpose. I brought that up. I also brought up range of compensation. They can't restrict that. It's crazy. It's good. Yeah, so they haven't learned their lesson. CJ's right. They haven't learned the lesson. All right. Yeah, thank you for that question, Justin. I hope we broke it down to you as simple as we could have, because I don't understand it that well either, just to be honest with you. All right, Sean here, Super Chat says, it's really sad that Reveille got glaucoma watching all of that awful Aggie football throughout all of the years.
Sean.
Oh, well done there, Sean. Beautiful. Thank you for the Super Chat. Yep. That was good. I hate that Reveille is suffering a little bit, but that's a damn good joke right there. I like that. And some people took the other side and was like, well, at least she doesn't have to watch the Aggies get their butt handed to them out there often because she's only got one eye to do it. All right. So next Super Chat, Mayo Corn Dog. By the way, I watched Jerry eat one of these this morning. It was disgusting. First time I've ever seen it. All right.
Did one this morning?
He ate it in the morning. It was like 8:30. Dude just downed a Mayo corn dog. And yeah, Jerry's stomach is a stomach made of steel. All that time on the road, I couldn't eat a Mayo corn dog anymore. And I had bubble guts the rest of the day. He had a Mayo corn dog and I believe a moon pie or something else it's something weird. It wasn't even 9 o'clock and Jerry's just downing this. I'm like, Jerry, stop it. Like, what are you doing?
On a Wednesday, no less.
I'm telling you, dude, it was wild. I can't do that. So I was like, Jerry's gut is in better shape than mine. All right.
I think yesterday was his fasting day, so he probably earned it.
Oh, Jerry has a fasting day? Oatmeal cream pie. Whatever it was, okay, it was not an appropriate meal for 9 a.m. for the human body. But Mayo Corn Dog says less than 40 days from Texas is 2025-26 natty season. I will say this, Mayo Corn Dog. I do believe 2025 is way more wide open. And then I thought, remember I said originally Texas is going to win it in 26, but that's when they're going to win it all. And 25 will be kind of the lead up to it. this could be this year's kind of wide open. Like I can give you a lot of question marks with every team that you throw out there as a national title front runner. They've got a lot of questions. Texas has probably as few questions associated with their roster and with their overall team in 2025 as any team in the country. I mean, Penn State don't got a lot of questions. Their question is really Arch Manning, and then it's like, well, Arch is right now a favorite to win the Heisman. So I know that's just hype, but people aren't treating it like it's a question mark. They're treating it like it's going to be an advantage for Texas.
Yeah. Can I give you a comparison year, Rod, for what 2025 could be like?
Yeah, please.
Go back to 2008. If ever there was a year we needed a playoff in college football, it was 2008.
Yes.
Florida finishes 13-1, Utah 13-0, USC, Texas were both 12-1, Oklahoma, Alabama were both 12-2, TCU, Penn State finished 11-3. That's your top 8 right there. Boise was 12-1. Yeah. Texas Tech down there. That was an 11-2 Tech team. So 08 would have been a hell of a year for a playoff. I think this could be a year very, very similar.
That's good. That's a good one. That is good, actually. I remember that 08 season. Because remember Texas, I predicted Texas would go undefeated in 08. I was wrong. Before in the preseason, people thought I was crazy coming off that 07 season. I was like, I'm telling you, they bring a lot back. And they were a really young team. They were a relatively young team. They brought a lot back for 09, especially on defense. So good point, Jeff. I like that. I hope you're right about it. That'd be great. All right, getting back to the question, super chats. Kevin with a super chat. Thank you, Kevin. He says, happy birthday to a lifetime Longhorn. My dad, David, he took us to the VY Rose Bowl when I was 7. Damn, your dad.
You got a good dad right there.
In your life, man. Second favorite memory of that game was Griffin's interception. Ooh.
I think my dad was sending me to bed at that point just so he could enjoy the game a little bit more.
Oh man, that's Griff's interception. I want to say when we sat down with Griff, he said that was his favorite play. I want to say he said that was one of his favorite plays, but that is a great play. I remember that was a turning point in the game too.
Yeah. Can I say like the lateral that just fell straight into the hands of the Texas Longhorns?
Can I share my favorite memory from that Rose Bowl? I love it because I was watching the game at a buddy's apartment and we had a party, and I decided, look, this isn't the kind of where I'm gonna indulge in some beverages. Like I need to watch this game. I gotta be focused. And it gets that point where that Dwayne Jarrett touchdown where Terrell Brown breaks his arm and it's 38-26. There were a couple Aggies in that party that decided to start talking smack, and I had heard about enough at that point. So I believe I probably used some more colorful language, but my retort was something along the lines of, where's your team? Oh yeah, losing teams don't go to bowl games. They watch this on the couch like us, which was met with, hey, don't start that. And I'm like, no, you guys started it. That got broken up. And I'll never forget, as VY's crossing the goal line, both those guys get up and just leave. Don't say anything. They just leave. And the celebration was on at that point. So that's what I remember about that Rose Bowl.
Aggie tears. Aggie tears is what you remember. That's a beautiful thing. Thank you and by the way, happy birthday to your dad. Pass along our birthday wishes to him, please. We really appreciate that. And thank you for that super chat as well there, Kevin. Colin here with a super chat. Thank you, Colin. We appreciate that kindness. He says, what team are y'all most nervous about between Georgia, Oklahoma, A&M in terms of losing? Oh, that is good. That's good. Which loss would, a loss to Oklahoma would be, I think, devastating to Longhorn fans. I'm going to say the A&M one would hurt too. The Georgia one would hurt because you lost to Georgia already. It's got to be one of the other two.
I put this out earlier today. I just tweeted the 5 must-win games. I know Texas fans didn't like it because I didn't have Oklahoma 1 and I didn't have Texas A&M 1. But I had Georgia 1. Look, if you want to be the top dog in the SEC, if you want to be that team that is revered as the it team, you've got to knock off the it team. And until Georgia proves that they can no longer win the SEC, you're not going to get over the hump regardless of what you do, right? I know right now Michigan's kind of looked at as the team that dominates Ohio State, even though Ohio State just won a national championship. Until you do that, you're going to be looked at as that second team that playing second fiddle. So I have Georgia as the team that you must beat this year. Going on the road, that defense is going to be very difficult to beat. Again, we talked about it. 4 first-team all SEC players going into this season. And then I have Oklahoma second. And this is just point of the matter of fact. I mean, the 1 year Oklahoma had a functional quarterback, they beat you. And if you're looking at Brent Venables saying, hey, this could be a year in which his job is not safe after 2025, you don't want to leave that up to chance. You don't want to have him basically resuscitated in Dallas going up to Norman with a second life. You got to beat Oklahoma second on my list. And then I think, look, Texas A&M, you don't want to lose at home to Texas A&M. You never want to lose to Texas A&M. And then now that everything's essentially even in terms of recruiting, you got to take care of the state. You got to be the top dog in the state of Texas. You don't want Elko to get that recruiting win back, right? It's like playing tennis. You break a serve, you're up. Now you go back home, you're on serve, you take care of business. Now you're playing with house money, right? You're up 2-0 in this one. I've been watching a lot of tennis, obviously. But you can't break back. You can't give that set back to Mike Elko and have it be even money moving forward. So that's where my list was. And I know a lot of Texas fans are kind of sitting there saying, well, Oklahoma's always the team to beat. To me, that's kind of loser talk. And I hate that I say that because, look, I think you should win that game as much as you want to win any other game. I understand it. But if you go into a season saying, as long as, X, Y, and Z happen, it doesn't matter what the outcome is. Not at this point, no. You got a team that can win a national championship. You got a team that can run the SEC. You should be looking at the top teams in the conference as the biggest games for you, the biggest opposition. Those are the must-win games for me this fall.
No Texas coach that has coached for a national championship has done so without having a multiple-year run of success against Oklahoma. Go back and look at Darryl Rowe's best years, Fred Akers' best years, Mac Brown's best years. There was an even Mac from 05 to 09. Texas won 4 out of 5 against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's won 11 of the last 16 in this series. It's time for Texas to go on a run. It's time to eliminate the Oklahoma problem, especially at a time where they're vulnerable. If we take Georgia out of the equation of OU and A&M, I trust the depth that Texas has to be able to still be a really good version of itself at the end of the regular season. It's Oklahoma because I think when Texas plays Oklahoma at that point in the year, that could be the best version of 2025 Oklahoma is the one Texas sees in October.
Not to mention they have a way more functional quarterback. So early in the year, what kind of wrinkles will they have? By then, you know exactly what wrinkles have gotten A&M to that point with Marcel Reed. There's going to be nothing new. But early in that year, week 5, 6, 7, there's still going to be some new wrinkles that Arbuckle and Mateer have thrown out that you just quite frankly haven't seen in this edition of the OU offense.
And I think for Brent Venables, the shoe is on the other foot now because for years with Oklahoma, they still had Bedlam. But when A&M went to the SEC, that defined the season for Texas was the OU game.
Yeah.
I think now for Oklahoma doesn't have Bedlam. Texas has A&M back on the schedule, and some Texas fans would say Arkansas. I think there's a decent, and I think I would put Arkansas in that rivalry group now that it's on the schedule again. That's Oklahoma's identity is did you beat Texas? So I think they're going to have some stuff for that game. And to your point, CJ, if you're asking me, people can say what they want about John Mateer, but if the discussion is John Mateer or Marcel Reed, I'm taking John Mateer 6 days of the week and twice on Sunday over Marcel Reed.
And Rod, I always go back. Last point for me, I always go back to what you say. You always want to be punching up with your rivals. Mm-hmm. And I know that on the scoreboard, Bedlam wasn't ever really close, but Oklahoma State had good teams, right? They were a perennial top 25 team under Mike Gundy, save a few years, right? But you look at where Oklahoma's kind of gone in terms of their rival outside of Texas. It's not Arkansas. It's not Texas A&M, but it's been Missouri, right? That geographical recruiting battle. I know that they've gone back and forth. Caden Green obviously being a big part of that, a 5-star offensive lineman who's since transferred to Missouri from Oklahoma. That's where they've gone. And Missouri in the SEC isn't an Oklahoma State in the Big 12, right? That's not what you want, right? As your needle mover.
Yep.
And I always think about what you want. You want your rivals doing well because that means, hey, when you beat them, things are a little bit sweeter.
Yeah. To that point, CJ, think about this. We're talking right now about Texas developing an it rivalry with Georgia. Yep. Right? It's been the standard of college football for the last few years. And, you're talking about Oklahoma developing a kind of temporary rivalry with Missouri. Like it's very different kind of where the trajectory of the programs. This is why it's a big year for Oklahoma, because I'm with you. I'm a John Mateer believer. I mean, I like what I see in John Mateer. Can he put that program on his back, essentially, and that offense, and help them turn it around? Keep from putting that program into like a tailspin, essentially. Because without, with a new AD coming in, and then now people are talking about Brett Venables' job, you have a bad season. They want to hire a new coach and a new AD. All they got to do is get one of those two things wrong, and Texas fans know how that can go. Oh, man, it can go wrong in a hurry on you. And Oklahoma, they're not necessarily the most affluent college football program among the blue bloods, right? They're trying to find value and discounts where they can find them. People are criticizing Texas, saying Texas spending too much money. Look at that, it's a $40 million roster. Like this, they're very different narratives about the programs right now. And I know Oklahoma fans are not comfortable with that. I've seen some of them talking about it. They're not comfortable with because they don't know what the future holds right now. They have no idea. They have no idea if they're going to be good next year or not. They don't. They're like, we could be good, we could be terrible. They have no idea.
Yeah, the OU, but the OU game always makes me nervous just because.
Oh yeah,
it's the Red River Shootout, and I had my this last game last year was the first time I worn an Apple Watch to the game because I just got my watch, and right before kickoff, I got a notification that my heart rate had climbed to like a level that it usually isn't, and like I may need to like sit down. I was like, like my heart is racing right now, and I have no dog in the fight. Like that's what the Texas OU game does to me. And I'm just sitting in the press box watching the damn thing. Like that's what it is being in the Cotton Bowl. And if you haven't done it, it should be on your bucket list to go. Of those other games on the schedule, though, the one other than Georgia, the one that I'm quote unquote most nervous about, man, it's Florida. Because if DJ Lagway is healthy, like if his shoulder is right, that's a team that can. I don't think they'll make it to an SEC championship game because their schedule is hellacious, but they're going to have an impact on who does make it to Atlanta because I think the line of scrimmage wise they're that good, and if Lagway's shoulder's right, he can make enough plays to get them to 10 wins.
One of the best O lines in the SEC, and they'll have a good running game, and you combine that with Lagway because he got it. He's got it. He doesn't even play that efficiently. You go watch him; he's not that efficient as a quarterback either. He just makes freaky plays when they need him. He's got some of that clutch gene in him. So and they play inspired when he's there. They play like a different team when DJ Lagway's there. So I'm with you. I think they can be dangerous. And I'll give CJ credit because CJ's been saying that probably since the beginning of spring. He's been like, Florida game, man. Y'all need to watch it. That might be the sneaky, road game that sneaks up on you because everybody knows to expect Ohio State. Everybody's talking about Georgia. And you were saying they ain't talking enough about Florida. I think you're right.
I still don't know how Billy Napier went into camp last year, watched DJ Lagway and Graham Mertz and said, nope, you know what? I'm good. Graham Mertz is going to be my guy.
Jeff, I could go on about this for about,
go ahead.
For the next 40 days until kickoff, basically. The fact that, Auburn went out and added who they did at quarterback. Florida added who they added at quarterback. It's like, did you not watch any Big Ten football at all and say, that's the guy that I want leading my program? It shouldn't be this hard to find a portal quarterback, and teams make it look like they're trying to get to Mars. It's unbelievable.
I was listening to Coffee and Football on Tuesday on my drive into San Antonio, and they were talking about Bobby and Jerry were talking about Auburn, and Peyton Thorne came up and just like how detrimental he was to Auburn's cause. I'm like, it wasn't just that he was like Peyton Thorne was the MVP of the Oklahoma game for Oklahoma. He was Oklahoma's best player last year. Like he gave Oklahoma the freaking game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was terrible in the Big Ten, man. Oh, my God. If you ever need a nap on a Sunday, turn on whatever channel the Big Ten's on, specifically in Iowa, Wisconsin, even a Michigan State, especially if they have like a Brian Lewerke at quarterback. It's just disastrous football. And as an offensive-minded guy myself, Rod, you might love it, so tune me out here. But I like seeing points. And if it's not points, I at least like seeing the ball get past, the 50-yard line. You don't see that in half the games in the Big Ten. Thank God for Ohio State. Thank God for Indiana a year ago. I think Illinois is going to be really fun this year.
Oregon in there, though, to help out, and Lincoln Riley to help out a little bit.
And that's where I was getting to. Damon Williams, that's my biggest sleeper of the football season, quarterback out in Washington. I actually put a couple dollars down on, how about plus 5,900 to win the Big Ten this year? Washington.
Man, nothing.
Okay. That's a sleeper.
Nothing.
Mario Davis in that defense, sign me up.
Back in my middle school, high school days, nothing would grind my gears like watching game day and they're getting you pumped up and like, oh man, it's LSU Georgia, like this is the game of the day, and then it's like Big Ten game of the week on ESPN, Minnesota Northwestern. Like, gotta watch freaking paint dry, man. Come on.
Seriously,
probably at 11 a.m. They got the grass super long up there in Chicago. It's just okay. Hopefully we see a field goal. Like, give me something.
Thrilling 6-3 game.
Is it a football game? I should not be nodding off like I'm watching golf. Okay, like, I love football, so I'm with you. I can't watch that kind of football, and I'm a defensive guy. All right, let's get back to the questions here. Greg, he says, any chance OU finishes with no 5-star? Thank you for that super chat, Greg. Yeah, they're definitely trying to find value, guys. Any chance they have no 5 stars at all? I think Oklahoma fans don't like this strategy by Jim Nagy either. They want splashes in recruiting, and they're not getting as many as they normally would.
Yeah, there's a very good chance that they end up with no 5-star. Looking at the class right now, look, they're 10th right now.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. Excuse me. They have 15 commits. They're ranked 27th. Okay. They're not doing great on the recruiting trail. They have Bo Bentley, a very talented quarterback out of Salina. Big recruiting win over LSU in that one. He's ranked 67th in the Rivals composite. In the top 300, they only have one other player, and he's ranked 296th. I know recruiting rankings aren't everything, but you're a blue blood playing in the SEC, and you can't get more than 2 players committed to you in the top 300 of the country. Not just in your region. I know, it's not a great area to recruit in, but they've completely neglected the DFW area. It's shocking. Yeah. You look for value. You won't find much value than a 3-star out of Frisco, right? A 3-star out of Capel, Southlake. That's where Oklahoma's completely missing the ball here is you go out there, you look for value. You're not looking in the spot that, pull up the numbers, produces NFL talent just as well as anybody in the country. It's a good point. It's interesting. I don't know. But, yeah, right now I would say that there's a likely chance that they end up with 0 5-stars in this class.
If I were an Oklahoma fan, and thank God I'm not, I would be insulted that, like, your plan mimics, like, what Matt Rule's having to do at Nebraska.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, that's insulting. Like, you're Oklahoma. You're a top 5 program of all time, and you got to like churn and find value 3 stars to fill out a recruiting class. You don't trust yourself to go get into recruiting battles with Texas and Texas A&M, or to like CJ said, to get into the Metroplex is your backyard if you're Oklahoma. I mean, that's Oklahoma's built championship caliber rosters primarily focusing on the Metroplex in East Texas. Yeah, and for them to ignore that, it's. What Oklahoma's doing reminds me of like Texas baseball under David Pierce with how they try to build a pitching staff. It's like, we're going to get guys that throw hard and we're going to develop them into pitchers. That's fine. But if you're not an elite developmental staff, you're just going to get a staff of like a bunch of guys that throw really hard that it doesn't do you any good. That's how you end up leading the country or setting school records for walks and wild pitches and hit batters. You want to go recruit the value 3 stars and try to develop an NFL talent? Okay, go ahead. But if you're not putting the resources into your program, those guys are going to jump in the portal and take advantage of schools that are putting resources into their roster from an NIL standpoint.
Yeah, no, I agree with CJ. I think they got to hit DFW harder. DFW is the second most fertile recruiting metro area in the country, and even if you ain't getting the top elite prospects out of DFW, hell, man, those middle tier prospects out of DFW still are probably better than some of the guys you're getting. So I'm with you on that. I think you got to hit that harder. And I'm with you, Jeff. They need to find a rainmaker. Whoever your athletic director you're gonna hire, you hire CDC. He's got a lot of gifts. His number one gift is the guy can raise capital. Like he can raise it, man. He's a rainmaker. Guy people like him, and he can raise money. And they need to bring in somebody for Oklahoma who can really unite the boosters and the donors and weaponize, that group. Because right now, perception is reality, and the perception is that Oklahoma can't. They're blue bloods, but they can't spend like the old money of college football. I don't know why. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't know the economics. But that's the perception, is that, oh, no, Oklahoma can't spend like the rest of the Blue Bloods. And it's like, damn. So essentially they're saying A&M is probably more of a threat to Texas in the modern landscape of college football than Oklahoma will be. Because Oklahoma, to Nagy's point, they're looking for value and discounts. And I remember when Matt Rule was doing this. It was a brilliant strategy, by the way. Matt Rule basically said, I can't, and this was before NIL and before revenue sharing, but he's basically saying, I can't get the top recruits who have the elite overall skill set. So I'm gonna recruit elite traits. I'm gonna recruit guy with a freaky wingspan, guy with freaky speed. I'm gonna recruit a guy with freaky twitch. Like, they're gonna have elite traits, and then I'll develop the rest of it. Now you better make sure that you can develop. But he did a really good job of that when he was at Temple, when he was at Baylor. He's trying to now recreate it at Nebraska in a new landscape. But that's what he's trying to do. That's different than what Nagy's doing, a little bit different. He's basically saying, we got our own, like the NFL guys, we got a big board. We're rating everybody. And essentially, we're going to prioritize the guys on our rating system who are high on our rating system, but essentially low-rated recruits. But they're high in our system. Now, you may be a 3-star in your rating, but on our board, he's really high. That gives us value. That equals value because we're getting them on the cheap. Maybe it works, maybe it don't. I don't know why I wouldn't even tell people that, but I guess people will be able to see it anyway from your strategy. Yeah. It's a roll of the dice. That's a hell of a roll of the dice, man. You better make sure it works. If it don't, it's going to be hell to pay on your job. Right. You're going to be gone.
I hate that approach. Quite frankly, I hate it. And I think you could point to Texas Tech as kind of the pioneer of that method. Hey, we're not going to go get that 4-star guy. We're going to get 3-star with a great trait. You go to the UIL state championship relays down in Austin, you'll look at every event and find a Texas Tech recruit, a commit, a signee. Doesn't matter. They're littered more than any school in the region with kids in the UIL state track meet. And it's because I think they value that type of prospect, the elite trait, a little bit more than a good football player. Mm-hmm. And the biggest example I can find is DeSoto about 3 years ago had a defensive back named Devin Bobby. Great player. 5'9", played safety. Wasn't quick enough to play corner, but you put him in the middle of the field and he's going to raise hell more times than not. He'll come away with an interception, forced fumble, a guy that just made plays, but he didn't check that box. He didn't have an elite trait. You watch him turn the tape on, you're like, he's good, but there's that hesitancy. Ends up at Baylor. Baylor, very much the same, had that same kind of player personnel, developmental department as well. Brought him in, said, hey, we're going to work with what we've got here. He's an all-conference guy in the Big 12 right now. He's unbelievable. He's going to be an NFL draft pick at 5'9". He's like an Antoine Winfield Jr. But because he didn't have that elite trait, they pass on. And you can look at the NFL draft, too. They've had several pass rushers drafted in the first round. Tyree Wilson. They've had dudes. And what's their commonality? 6'6", crazy wingspan. Mm-hmm. And then what's their, detractor? Well, they're not that good at football, right? I think that no one salivated more at the sight of Tyler Owens in the NCAA than at Texas Tech. And look where he ended up, Texas Tech. Now, Tyler worked his way into having a pretty solid career, ended up getting, an NFL look. But you get that guy that runs a 10-3. And you forget that, hey, his hands look like he's got 2 fingers on each hand. Like, that's their issue. And I think that if you go down that path, well, it's a slippery slope because then you just get addicted to, the next guy is going to be faster. It's like, he's still not a good football player.
Yeah.
And what if you end up firing Brent Venables and the next head coach you bring in has a different mentality or a different way to build a roster? Is Jim Nagy going to hire the next coach that vibes with him on what they're looking for in prospects? Because that guy may not be the best fit for Oklahoma. I've seen some people in the chat mention Josh Heupel. Why would Josh Heupel leave Tennessee? He knows the BS and the pressure that's going to come with the OU job. He's got NIL at Tennessee.
That money.
He's got a more fertile recruiting ground around him. It's the same reason why all the Arkansas fans keep talking about, well, Sam Pittman retires after the year. We'll go hire Rhett Lashley. Let him come home to Arkansas. Why the hell would Rhett Lashley leave SMU for Arkansas?
SMU spinning.
He's got all the resources. He's got resources at SMU that he won't have in Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot easier telling me, okay, you got to go beat Wake Forest and Duke in North Carolina instead of Alabama, Georgia, and Texas. Okay, yeah, I know where I'm going to stay. it ain't gonna be going to the SEC.
Yeah, honestly, if Jim Nagy really, that just sounds crazy. If Jim Nagy really wants to try to win like that, he probably should just hire Mike Gundy when Gundy gets fired. Because Gundy is probably one of the best in the country at doing more with less. Like he just like they just started embracing NIL in like 2024.
You know the other phone call you can make. You could see if Gary Patterson's had enough time sitting on the couch and writing music, or if he's ready to get back into it.
Amen to that. I'm a GP. I don't know what GP doing. I'm with you. I don't know. I know people that reached out to him. He must not want to coach. That's got to be the word out there.
He's got to be on a mountainside somewhere singing,
fishing,
playing the guitar. He's having fun. Gundy's interesting because he's a tremendous talent evaluator, but he's more than that. He's a great coach evaluator.
Mm-hmm.
Like his coaching tree of coordinators and whatnot. Jim Knowles, the best, highest paid defensive coordinator in the country. I mean,
yep.
That's a Gundy find.
Yeah, no, I love me some Gundy. Gundy was the first one. People don't know this. Gundy was the first one to use the 3 high in the Big 12. It was Oklahoma State that used it first, and then it started to spread. Dude, Gundy is a hell of a football theorist. Dude, Gundy knows ball. Gundy's a ball coach. So you don't even want to like Gundy, and you like Gundy if you like ball. Like you don't want to like him. You're like, but I like him. God knows ball, man.
Yeah.
Jay here with a super chat says, what does Trey Wisner's development look like going into year 3? Will Becton have him ready?
If you look at him, physically. Yes, thank you, Jay, for the super chat. If you look at Trey Wisner physically right now, like on the roster, I think last year he was listed at right around 200 pounds. He's 194 right now, but you look at his body, like his body looks different. It's been reshaped. He's added some muscle. And quite honestly, man, I'm not worried about Trey Wisner. That's a guy that there was a 10-game stretch last year over the last 10 games of the season where he had over 900 rushing yards. So and finished with 1,000 on the season. So I'm not worried about Trey Wisner. He showed last year, even without the physical development that he's gotten over this offseason, that he could hold up in the SEC. So yeah, I'm not worried about Trey Wisner. What I do wonder though, Rod, and this kind of goes into more of like a football theory direction. How involved is he going to be in the passing game? And how much does the passing game involving the running backs change? Because we know Quinn Ewers, for his faults last year, Quinn was really good in like the traditional screen game, getting the ball to the running backs. Mm-hmm. How does that change now with Arch? And do you have those old school screens? Do you want to do a little bit more? And based on the throws Arch is comfortable making, how does that relate to things Trey Wisner does well?
Yeah, I'm with you. And we don't. Yeah, it's interesting because the passing game for the running backs, I think for Sarkis said he wants to be able to throw the ball vertically to his running backs, actually downfield. The first time we actually saw that was probably Jaden Blue. No, I say that. Bijan did it. Bijan did it too. He did it very creatively with Bijan, and then he did it again with Jaden Blue. And I don't know if he has one of those kind of guys in the backfield now to get a vertical route, like a Texas route or wheel route down the field. Yeah. So now I think your swing routes and your screen passes to the running backs, but they're going to be still prevalent. I mean, Texas was top 10 in targets to running backs last year with 2 running backs, by the way, for Trey Wisner and Jaden Blue. Freaky stuff, man. So Sark is all about getting those guys the ball in the perimeter. All right, let's thank a sponsor. Let's thank our friends over at Flat Creek before we move on here, answer a few more questions, and then we'll dive into some other topics. But let's thank our friends at Flat Creek Estate Winery. Flat Creek Estate Winery, folks, just minutes from downtown Austin, and they've won award after award for their vintage wine, Super Texan. The Super Texan actually was recently entered into the San Francisco Wine Festival, scored a 98 out of 100. That's right, folks. Almost a perfect score. It was named the best red blend, the top red blend in the country at this wine festival. So now you can brag that you're enjoying not only the best red blend in Texas, but the best red blend in the great country of ours in America. So I've been telling you guys that it's award winning. That is fantastic. Well, now it's not only award winning locally and regionally, but nationally as well. You can get it at your local HEB. You can get it at your local Specs as well. I saw it displayed at our local Central Market. So the good word is getting out about Flat Creek Estate Winery. They also have a gorgeous venue with barbecues and wine tastings every single weekend. Perfect for a day date with your significant other or a weekend getaway with your significant other. That's Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com. Really appreciate them for sponsoring our Wednesday night live stream. All right. Landon with a super chat. Landon, thank you very much. Landon says, it ain't going to work. In the NFL, you have a much smaller parabola for talent selection. Damn, nice word. But the bell curve in the NCAA is so much wider and more punishing. Basically, this is Jim Nagy's thought, is that, because I remember having this stat. I want to make sure I pull it up because I pulled it up from years ago, that if you look at the amount of undrafted players in the league, like basically 30% of, I know, so I'm saying, like, thank you for the SAT word. Like I said, Craig Way's like on this show today between the random factoids and the big SAT words. Thank you very much, Landon. And this is a stat that I found, 32% of NFL rosters are made up of undrafted free agents. And like I said, I'm sure year to year it goes, but they're talking based on a third of the rosters. So those are guys in the NFL. This is a $20 billion business. All right. They got rooms full of guys like Rod Dees looking at film and crunching numbers. They got scouts on the road talking to coaches. They're talking to parents, they're talking to janitors, talking to everybody to find out everything they can about these kids, so they can maximize these investments. And yet, a third of the rosters still guys that went undrafted. They just didn't see him. They just missed on that guy. So his thought process is that's definitely happening at the college level too. Just missing on guys. Look at Cam Moore. Prime example. Look at Cam Scatterbo. Diego Pavia. The guys out there who can ball, they just didn't. What's the kid? You talk CJ John Mateer. It's kind of like that.
Yep.
John Mateer didn't get a lot of offers. I mean, you were telling me that like he didn't get a lot of offers.
Little.
Yeah. So there are guys like that. He's basically saying we're gonna get them guys. Now, it's a great theory, but you better get all of them. And in addition to getting all of them, you better develop them. Because some of these guys Texas getting, Colin Simmons going to play in the league no matter who the hell was developing them. you can take credit for Bijan if you want to, but I could coach Bijan. And you know what? I would have gotten a raise and I'd have gotten a job in the league. It's like, he's a great coach. Yeah, Bijan's great. Okay, that makes me look great. So there are a lot of guys Texas on their roster. They don't necessarily need, if they're going to get coached up and developed, they're going to the NFL regardless. I don't know if that's the case for a lot of the guys who are undrafted free agents in the league. They needed to be developed. They had to have that great coaching. We started at Texas when Texas wasn't developing talent. They were almost a bargain bin for the NFL for undrafted prospects. So my point is, I get the theory and it's sound, but if you don't execute, you're gonna have hell to pay at Oklahoma in the SEC. You're gonna have hell to pay.
I got my parabola.
Whoa, the parabola! Damn!
That's how you pass Calc 2 right here.
CJ. Bro,
did you do that just while Rod was talking?
That's impressive, bro. That's impressive. See, they just earned a whole lot more respect from me right there.
Come on, man.
That guy's an intellectual giant right there. I'm still confused about what's going on.
And I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, yeah. Why would you purposefully, though, shrink your margin for error?
Nah.
Like that. Oklahoma right now, and I'm not the best at making analogies, but it's kind of like the guy who's a millionaire, right? That's still driving like the old beat up Honda Civic with like 250,000 miles on it. Well, I like this car. It's a great car. Like, it's a good car. I'm not saying you got to go out and buy a Bentley or a Rolls, but man, can you get you like if you really like the Honda Civic, you can get you a new one and not break the bank. Like you got to spend a little bit. Like you got to do a little bit of that. Right? Like millionaires don't need to purposefully live in poverty, right? Like you don't need to just say, we're going to do value 3 stars. Cause guess what? You start looking at the blue chip ratio. I want to track it now and see how far Oklahoma drops until they fall below that 50% threshold. Cause at this rate, it's going to happen.
Yeah. It does feel like, I just recently pulled it up. Let's see if I can find the blue chip ratio for Oklahoma. If you include transfers, Oklahoma's at 56%. That's below Florida, Miami, Penn State, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, LSU, Texas, Oregon, Georgia.
See, they're already teetering towards the 50% mark. Like you just in this league, in the SEC, if you don't have players, you're not gonna win. Like I I don't understand what they're doing. Like I said, thank God I'm not an Oklahoma fan, because if I was, I'd be somewhere between embarrassed and really pissed off at the way the roster's being constructed going forward.
Yeah, I thought he would just do that with, like 6 to 8 scholarships per cycle or something. I mean, he's kind of talking about that's the blanket like methodology. I'm like, I think you do, because I think Sark does a little bit of that. I think Sark picks up some. I think everybody's got to pick up value where you can in the revenue sharing world. But he's talking about, no, that's going to be our kind of overall macro philosophy. Listen, I said everybody's got to do it differently in the revenue sharing era, because your situation is different from everybody else. I just think the perception of Oklahoma is they don't have the money. I don't know if they do. I'm not saying they don't. They're a blue blood. They should. But that's the perception. Like Texas Tech, that's why this guy, Cody Campbell, he's smart enough to know he has changed the perception of Tech. The perception of Tech is now they're making it rain out in West Texas, baby. And that's the perception you want in the NIL revenue sharing era. Whether it's true or not, you want people to think you're spending money, because then you're going to be on everybody's top 5. And that's what Texas Tech has done. If you don't like what people are saying, you have to change the conversation. In Oklahoma, the conversation is not a good one. No. Texas Tech has changed the conversation. All we talk about now is like, who's this billionaire Cody Campbell spending all this money? Man, they just giving guys money. And if you're a young 18-year-old, you know what? That's not a bad perception to have if you're a college football program recruiting young people, that you spend a lot of money. And I will overpay you to come live in West Texas.
30% more.
30% more, man. Come on. And you know what, Oklahoma, you might have to recognize that nobody wants to live there either. And you might have to start paying a little bit more to live in. I know you're like, everybody loves Norman, but no, they don't. These are the added bonuses and perks you get in the revenue sharing era of living in a major metropolitan era, as opposed to out in the middle of nowhere. But some people like in the middle of nowhere. I got a lot of family that live in the middle of nowhere and they love it. All right. I don't. I like to live near a city. All right, getting back to the questions here. How about this one? Juan? Thank you, Landon, for that super chat. How about this one from Juan? Says a smart move for Oklahoma to make at head coach Jeff Traylor. Ooh, has San Antonio on the Dallas connection. That's interesting.
But here's the deal. Jeff Traylor's smart enough to know if Oklahoma either doesn't have the resources or doesn't want to give him the resources, why would he take that job?
That's not a good job.
When he can wait, like, look, if something happens to Joey McGuire at Texas Tech, that may be a more attractive job. Ooh. If something happens to Sonny Dykes at TCU, maybe that's a more attractive job. If Rhett Lashley were to leave SMU, that's a more attractive job. Like, it's not. I think Oklahoma, the fans of that program have taken for granted. There's a generation of OU fans that I know have taken for granted, like the run of success from the time Bob Stoops was hired, really through the time Brent Venables was hired under Bob Stoops and Lincoln Riley. I think they took it for granted. Like, you win a bunch of national championships? No, they only got one, but they freaking dominated the Big 12. Yep. Like what Kansas basketball was to the Big 12, that's what Oklahoma football was. Mm-hmm. And I think there are fans who took that for granted. Look, I don't think Oklahoma can get to the point where like Arkansas is now, where you really wonder, like, I don't know what your future is. It's tough for me to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But could Oklahoma have like a 5 to 7, maybe 8 year stretch where they're just mediocre? Yeah, 100%. Because it doesn't look like they got this coaching hire right. And unless you hire the right AD, there's no guarantee you're going to get the next one right.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Good point. All right, let's take another sponsor. Let's thank our friends over at South Point Dodge really quickly before we end things tonight. Thank you to our friends over at South Point Dodge for sponsoring our Wednesday night live stream. Texas football fans, you can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in the all-new Ram 1500, proven to last. Plus, right now you get employee incentive pricing. That's a fancy way of saying you play with the employees pay right now at South Point Dodge. That's the real deal. So whether you need a car, truck, trade-in, maybe you need something new or something used, our friends at South Point Dodge are Austin's automotive everything. So go see them today off of I-35 in South Austin, or you can go online and check out their inventory there as well, southpointdodge.com. So get to the point today with our friends over at South Point Dodge. Thank you very much for sponsoring our Friday night live stream. Our Wednesday night live stream. I'm already skipping to the weekend. All right, let's get to a couple of questions here. I was gonna hit a couple of topics, but we're close to the end, so we might as well just try to rapid fire some of these questions. All right, how about this one from Elijah? Says, is Texas and OU really fighting for a Cruel? The defensive end, right? The edge defender.
Yeah.
Is it Jake Cruel?
Jake Cruel. It's Texas. It's Oklahoma. Florida's in the mix. This was one earlier in the year, or earlier in the summer. It was really pegged to Oklahoma. Texas has been in contact a little bit more. The big question is, how heavily do they pursue? Because look, he's on the smaller end of your edge rushers, especially what you've brought in recently. Now, Colin Simmons, 6'3", 225 is what he was whenever Texas was recruiting him as a senior. We knew that ceiling was going to get up to about 245. That lightning quick step was also something that would allow him to play the run and do so effectively at that size. For Cruel, look, lightning quick as well, not yet a Colin Simmons, and he doesn't yet have that arm length of a Colin Simmons as well. So he's working behind on what a Colton Vasek, a Zena, a Lance Jackson were in terms of physical length. And, of course, now with Richard Wesley, you're looking at a 6'4", 6'5", 260-pound body as well. So a little undersized, and the question is, how much can you use him in non-passing situations? But, yes, the Longhorns are in that one. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how much they push for him going into August.
Yeah, you want to talk about Oklahoma recruiting, value guys or whatever. Go look at what OU's doing on defense, and go look at what Texas, Alabama, Georgia, and the rest of the SEC's doing on defense. They're recruiting dogs. They're recruiting dudes, and you win with players on defense. Like I don't know. I'm flabbergasted by Oklahoma's approach right now. I don't mean to keep harping on it, but I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. You don't need to do it. And it's funny because A&M's got the opposite problem. It's like, just because we have all this money doesn't mean we need to spend it, right? You can scale back in some areas. So, and here, let me ask you guys this, because this came up in the chat. I apologize. I didn't see who asked it. It already got scrolled by. Over the next, let's say, 8 to 10 years, would it surprise you either you guys if A&M's a better program than Oklahoma?
No, not at all. They're a bigger threat, I think, to Texas in the new landscape of college sports right now.
Yeah, they really are. And that's sad. That's, if you're an Oklahoma fan, that's really sad to think about. But
then there's the Aggie kind of meltdown, the Aggie ultimately underachieving year after year, right? The Aggies have resources are not the issue, talent's not the issue. You look at that blue chip ratio without the transfers, the A&M is just as high as Texas in the blue chip ratio in terms of talent. Their issue is coaching and culture. And Texas had those issues too. So if they saw those issues, maybe Elko is the right coach. He'll bring in the right culture. They can be dangerous. The Aggies can be a dangerous program. There's no doubt
about that. They just get out of their own way.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to Aggie it up somehow.
Yeah, John Adams just said, but A&M will always Aggie it up. They're
going to Aggie it up. Everybody knows that the Aggies have potential. They got tons of talent. They got tons of money. All right, you live next door to these people. You know who they are, but ultimately the Aggies will find a way to Aggie it up, and I don't know how they do it, but maybe Elko can be that voice of reason.
Which is the opposite of Oklahoma. I trust Oklahoma. Their history says at some point they're going to figure it out.
Exactly.
It's like we just laid out. A&M's history says at some point they're going to screw it up.
Yeah, you live next to Aggies, and for the first 2 or 3 months, you always see them and you give them you wave to them at the mailbox, and they always have a big smile on their face getting the mail. And then November comes and December comes, and they don't get the mail anymore. The yard starts growing a little bit longer. It's normally not very fun in that household.
You see it lines up with football season, CJ. The later you get in football season, the worse the mood gets for Aggies.
Guys, I keep harping on this because where Texas is right now as a program, I got to see Sark continue to take the ball and run with it. Potential for Texas to be actually fully realized like it hasn't been at any point in time in my life. Like I said, I think Sark has the potential to maximize his program in a way no coach has done since Coach Royal, which is multiple years where you're either winning or playing for national championships, and you are one of the probably 2 or 3 premier programs in the country. I really feel like Texas is at that point, and I want to see Sark cross that threshold and bring that that vision, that hope to reality.
Yep, I'm with you. Real quick, John 007 says, OTF, do you expect to see Arch run the zone read a la VY? No, not a lot. I mean, I think it'll be like zone read, like handoffs, but I expect a lot of those to be what they basically were for Quinn, like their actual handoffs. I don't think Arch is actually reading the edge defender and keeping the ball a ton of times. I do think there will be design runs, but Sark has said we're not going to major in design runs, and I believe him on that. They're not going to risk Arch having to take too many hits. That's just not going to happen.
That is a break glass in case of emergency. Is Arch utilizing Arch in the run game?
Yeah. Hey, that last game of the season, like those playoff games, though, I do think it may be just no holds bars. Like, it's a playoffs, baby. So that may be, even in NFL, they have actually done the research. Design runs and scrambles increase in the playoffs. Like, quarterbacks understand, like, it's all on the line. This is win or go home scenario.
I looked at it right. Like, if you look at Will Howard's rushing numbers last year, like there was a lot of zeros or ones, but against like Oregon and Penn State and in the playoff, it's like 8, 9, 10, 12 carries. I think against Notre Dame, he had like 18 carries or something.
It was like every 3rd and 2. It was like, oh, we're just going to QB power it.
Yeah.
No,
our way across the first down line.
Texas hasn't lost a lot of games, guys, recently in the last few years under Sark. Think about some of the big games that they have lost and some of the close games. Think about some of those big runs by the quarterbacks. Even Michael Penix had some. Remember, Michael Penix had more runs against Texas. He had like a few quarterback sneaks. Dylan Gabriel, we've already talked about. Hell, Sam Levitt almost did it on his own, wearing Texas out. Man, Texas now with that kind of cheat code is going to be scary. Ashley wants to know, buy or sell? We go 9-3 and still make the playoffs. I'm going to say
sell.
I sell 9-3, but I buy if they go 9-3, they'll make the playoffs.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, because they're Texas. It's basically like 2 schools that can go 9-3 and make the playoffs, and Texas is one of them.
Yeah,
is that basically what you're saying? Yeah, because they want Arch in there. They want Arch in there. That'll help. It depends on your losses too.
Yeah, like what kept Alabama out of the playoff last year, it wasn't the fact that their number of losses, it was the fact that they got boat raced in Norman by a pretty mid Oklahoma team.
Yep.
You know, Ole Miss's number of losses did not keep them out of the playoff. Losing a game at home to a bad Kentucky team kept them out of the playoff.
Awful. That was a horrible loss. You can't. Yeah, it's all those losses you can't explain it away. Like, there's no way to justify that loss. Like, you're not as good as we think you are if you lost to that team. And so I'm with you on that's a good point. Real quick here. Oh, Jose says, real quick one. OTF crew. Might be a dumb question. No dumb questions on OTF. So I apologize, but how does NIL work for 2 sport athletes? Do they get money from both sports or just get one collective NIL package? Damn, that is a good question, Jose. Actually, do we know this?
I believe it's a combination of packages. So, for Jonah Williams, it's picking in from both piles, but I don't know. It could differ school to school.
I like that. That's clean. I like that. How about this one from Doug says, good evening, gentlemen. Do you think college football players will be less motivated to go to the NFL based on NIL now? Do you think the NFL will change their business model and start letting guys in the league other than 3 years removed from high school? Maybe that's the question. I didn't see the rest of it. I'll say this. It did affect the second round signings in the NFL. We talked about that. Second round players who were drafted in the NFL, this was the latest that the majority of the picks didn't sign going into training camp. I believe a week before training camp started, there was like 30 of the 32 second round picks were unsigned. And a lot of the people believe was because they got money now. Like they're not desperate to have to sign right away to get the bag because they already got a couple of bags from college. So it does, I think, strengthen their leverage in negotiations. But ultimately, the goal is for everybody wants to go to the league. Everybody's got that goal. And so, yeah, I'm sure there are some guys who may stay an extra year because maybe the compensation is negligible or the difference, I should say, in compensation is negligible, or they want to come back because they want to increase their draft stock. That happens. But for the most part, man, the league is the goal.
If you're talking about guys like, Colin Simmons when he gets ready to come out, Jeremiah Smith when he gets ready to come out, even like take Caleb Downs and Anthony Hill this year, they're getting some NIL compensation, but the difference between what they're getting paid in college and being like a top 10 draft pick, that's the difference between a nice few years that you can live off of to generational wealth potentially. So I don't think guys will be. You may have a case. There may be a couple cases, but by and large, for the most part, I'd say, Rod, like 97% of guys that are getting money, it's not going to change. They still want to maximize their draft position because the carrot dangling there, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is that second contract.
Damn right. You can get there. All right, let's thank our last sponsor. Then we'll hit a couple of questions in tonight's live stream. Thank you guys for all your participation. Let's thank our friends over at Advanced Pain Care. And we have a very special message from two legendary lifetime Longhorns, Vincent Paul Young and one Colt McCoy.
Pros know the pain stops here.
Physical therapy helps me as an athlete then and now. And do I still need therapy? Yes. And Advanced Pain Care helps with that.
Injuries will stack up. They'll add up. You can't let those injuries get you down, and Advanced Pain Care has been very helpful for me.
We can help with whatever's got you down, from nerve damage to our spinal cord stimulator. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Same-day appointments available.
Advanced Pain Care. The pain stops here.
Thank you very much to Advanced Pain Care. All right, two more super chats in tonight's live stream. One with a super chat here says, Sark is a modern-day Spurrier, innovative offensive mind, but classy. Spurrier took way more shots than Sark would. Like Spurrier took shots every time he got to the podium at other coaches and stuff like that. Sark's too classy. Sark wouldn't even say anything about the Aggie wore him being played when he was introduced. He wouldn't even make a – so Sark is, I think, just a little bit more reserved and buttoned up than Spurrier. But, I mean, in terms of offensive innovation, yes, I totally agree with you about it.
Yeah, I was in a room yesterday where Sark gave a keynote address where he was talking about, keeping your in-state recruits at in-state institutions. Sark actually said on the record, he said, I think Texas A&M is in the best position they've been in a long time with Mike Elko.
Look at this.
He's praising Mike Elko in a public forum. That's not like Steve Spurrier calling Florida State Free Shoes University or needling Tennessee by saying you can't spell citrus without UT. Yeah, it's different. Yeah,
it is different. And yeah, exactly. And he said he gave Arkansas a compliment at SEC Media Days too. Remember, he said they kicked our ass in 2020.
Yeah.
He didn't have to say that. He was trying to, hook them up. Sark goes out of his way to compliment the coaches. Spurrier ain't doing that. Spence GPT2 says here, thank you for the super chat, by the way. Says, what did Kirby Smart do to get over the hump in year 6 to win a championship? Does Sark make the jump in year 5? Or extra year in year 2026, obviously. Thank you for that super chat, Spence. One of the trends has been at least for the last 3 or 4 national champions, 3 or 4 different teams that have won national championship. They have hired a really good coordinator in one of the phases that they might have been struggling to get them over the hump. Chip Kelly came on, started calling plays for Ohio State last year. We saw it was Todd Monken with Georgia came on. Remember, Todd Monken basically took that Georgia offense from being good, really good, to being elite. And they won those championships. Michigan, it was on the defensive side of the ball. What was it Mike McDonald and I forget the guy that's with him now.
It was Jesse Minter, and then it was Wink
Martin. Jesse Minter. His mentor is still with him, right?
Yeah.
So it was those two guys. So he basically just asked his brother to hook him up because they both came from the Ravens and they were both really good defensive minds. And so they basically ran the same system. So he upgraded on the defensive side to help him get over the hump. That and LSU, remember going back to Ed Orgeron, it was Joe Brady that came in and was like, y'all got to modernize this old ass offense. What the hell's going on here? It's like cobwebs on this damn thing. It was antique. And now they run a modern offense. And that's what won LSU the title with Joe Burrow. And so with Sark, maybe the Nansen approach could have been that, but he's gonna go against that trend because they haven't really brought in anybody. You can look at maybe Arch will change the dynamic. He'll change the offense, and you'll become an elite offense. There's no real rule for the defense to go. Defense is elite already.
No,
yeah, for Kirby there, it was a development of already really talented football players. You look at the 2018 class, Georgia finished number 1. They had 14 top 100 prospects that they signed in that class. 2019, you finished with the number 2 class. You got 5 stars. You got 9 in the top 100. Texas is in a similar path right now, right? That 23 class was stacked with top 100 guys. 24 was good. Obviously, 25 was number 1. You get the combination of those 3 together. Plus, as you mentioned, Rod, a game-changing, whether it be coordinator or quarterback. It's got to be one of the two.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously, with Texas continuing Sarkisian as the play caller. It's got to be quarterback. This will be where you see the leap or a descent. And I think we all agree that there's too much talent around Arch to fall off a cliff here.
Agreed.
I think Sark's path is more of the Nick Saban, Pete Carroll, Urban Meyer. Even you look at Dabo's path to national championship, where it's just about a lot of elite talent coming together at the right time. And in the case of Urban and Dabo, more so Dabo, having a generational talent at quarterback that you were able to maximize.
You definitely got that, or at least that's the prediction. Thank you, Spence GPT2, and thank you for all the super chats, guys. We appreciate that, and thank you to Matthew as well behind the scenes. Matthew's real MVP. Really appreciate all of Matthew's hard work.
Yeah.
Thank you to all of our sponsors as well. Let's forget them. Von Lane, vonlane.com. Use the code OTF25. You save $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. Also, South Point Dodge, southpointdodge.com. And this is CJ. What is he? This is Einstein over here?
That's right. Me and my parabolas.
I know. The fact that y'all got some geometry and calculus jokes in the chat, y'all on a different intellectual level than I am. But thank you. That's why Matthew is the best in the business, folks. Thank you to South Point Dodge, southpointdodge.com, flatcreekestate.com as well, and our friends over at Advanced Pain Care. Thank you very much, CJ. Appreciate all your hard work and expertise. Jeff, you are the man, as always. Love working with you. And thanks to all of you guys for watching and listening. And really, I thank you for the super chats. You guys are really kind today. Ton of super chats. Sorry we couldn't get to all of the questions. If we missed any of your questions, please direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football tomorrow morning, 8:15 bright and early with Jerry and Bobby. And we'll also have the winning drive coming up tomorrow with myself, CJ, and Coach Shipley will be joining us. That'll be at 3:15, so you can direct your questions to us as well. For Jeff and for CJ and for Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Bearers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.